All right, it is 5:30 on the nose, so we are going to call the February 21st, 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Ms. Blankenhorn, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Boucher, Ms. Cunningham,
Here.
Mr. Percy,
Here.
Mrs. Simpson, Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mrs. Arianata,
Here.
Mr. Eister.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, with that, the February 21st Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is called to order. The first item before us is approval of the February 7th, 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. I would entertain a motion regarding those minutes.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, with that, the February 7th, 2024 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting is, minutes are approved. The next item before us is 2023-BZA-22 bylaws. Ms. Blankenhorn, do you want to, or who wants to give us some insight on this item?
So this was introduced in November of last year and then tabled by this board. It is something that the mayor is proposing for all committees of the city to have. Essentially, they look very similar from one board to the next. There were a couple items that needed clarification from you all based on your preferences.
Okay.
Actually, really only one, but another one that was brought to my attention by Mr. Brorin was in Article 6, letter A, that link. We're not really sure what that was supposed to direct us to, but I looked it up and I believe it would best be stated as section 1155.10, which goes over the requirements for an appeal. And then the second wording that needs a decision is in Article 7, letter J. He has proposed either shall or may.
Okay, so we need to decide shall or may, and then discuss, or so, is there any written or verbal communication regarding the proposed?
I do have a couple things. As I said, the law director brought the attention to that one link. And then I have an email from Mr. Mike Hillier. It says, please share this with the zoning board in a timely manner prior to tonight's meeting. I chose not to email it out because I was afraid everyone wouldn't see it. So I just brought it here to read. At tonight's meeting, you are asking the Board of Zoning Appeals to approve bylaws for this commission. Although I understand the reason for bylaws, I do think there should be two changes prior to passage. Article 7, Section J, the Board of Zoning Appeals may allow time for public comments during the meeting. The chair may limit the length of time of an individual speaker. I feel it is very important you do not eliminate the public from participating in your meeting. It is the public's good that you have the zoning appeals. Although your intentions may be different than some may interpret, I think you and this board need to strike out the word may in the shall or may and set an allotted time for the person to speak, similar to city council. They allow 4 minutes and the person speaking may ask the board for more time if needed. It is very important that we do not take away the voice of the public, those you represent. Feel free to call with any questions or concerns. Thank you for your consideration in this matter, Mike Hillier. And then I have an email from Bob and Linda Beck. Lacey and Todd, I would like the following read at tonight's February 21 Zoning Appeals Board meeting for the permanent record. I am very concerned by the mayor's proposed bylaws, specifically Article 7, meeting line J, as follows. J, the Board of Zoning Appeals may allow time for public comments during the meeting. The chair may limit the time of an individual speaker. I strongly believe everyone who has a concern or comment about a specific zoning change request must be heard. How else can this board rationally vote on the proposed change? The people being affected must have the opportunity to voice additional facts and their opinion on any requested change.
And I would say that I think that Mr. Hillier, I'll just, my opinion on that is I think that the way I read this is it's to limit comments not on a case, but on comments on, because we've had several times where speakers have come to speak before it's not related to a case, and in much of the time it felt like just listening to someone complain, and rather than actually any business actually before the board at the time. And so and I would say I am fully on board with giving people time, but I don't want to sit here for 20 minutes and listen to someone scold me. And that's, yeah, come on up, Mr. Hillier. I'll let you be sworn in, you know the drill. I do not agree with limiting time on a case, or not allowing comments on a case, but when someone wants to just make public comments, that's where to me, it has been excessive.
My name is Mike Hillier. My address is 215 East Sugar Street, Mount Vernon. I affirm that my testimony is truthful to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God, or under penalty of perjury. Excuse me. 16 years on city council, we've heard a lot. There's actually, and Mr. Bourne worked on it as well. I think we just changed it, a couple of years ago, where he mentioned the time limit. And it was a little different than this, would add matters pertaining to the city, which was what you want to narrow it down, matters pertaining to this, you call it a case. And I think that could be written into that. But I think when you say shall or may.
No, I agree with shall. Yeah,
well,
I don't agree with may.
You have three lawyers sitting here.
Yeah.
Take the word shall or may to court and tell me what it means, because everybody, and a judge, everybody can have a different definition of what shall or may means. And for somebody to say, and I think you're asking for problems when the city says Michael Percy can determine how long you can speak. That's why the city council said, we'll give everybody 4 minutes. And if you need longer, we can do that. And I think that's for your own protection.
Well, I would agree with that as well, as to put the time limit in there. What I'm saying is I would not limit any speech on a case. It's where it's just public comments. I think that's time limit. I'm saying not limiting time on a case, but limiting time on public comment.
My only point is I think it needs written in a way that everybody understands that sitting there has a chance to speak on that case. That way, the next guy sitting there, whenever it may be, says, well, I determine it this way. And I think you can write that whole thing to make it sound right.
I think we agree, Mike. I think we're probably going to go with shall, and I think we need to divide it into two parts. One for case public comment and one for just bringing issues to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they will have probably a time limit.
You use the word shall, does that mean you will?
Yes.
It's mandatory.
No, it's mandatory.
That they
I didn't
have
do
to.
real well in English class, so I thought I'd make that clear.
I didn't do well in law school, so.
Well, I got with it, so did you. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with shall, and I think on cases, maybe a larger time limit.
Well, I mean, it sounds like this language, especially in J, needs some more work. So why don't we, the board, table this matter, and we will
Revisit
it in a couple of meetings to allow to get some better language so that everyone is on the same page.
And like I said, I think that for your reference in language, I think there should be two. One is cases.
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily want some. One is cases.
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily want someone droning on for half an hour on something that isn't necessary. But then on public comments, I think that just not related to a case, I think that 4 minutes on that is perfect. I would say 10 on a case comment. That sound reasonable to everyone to work on that line.
I don't know why we're differentiating. If somebody's entitled to speak, they're entitled to speak. Mike isn't here on a case, but.
Well, but he's here for this, yeah.
He's here, yeah, and Why didn't you listen to him? I don't understand why.
Well,
I don't know. I don't want a half-an-hour lecture on how to do my job here. And we received that before.
Yes.
The chair may limit the length of time of any individual speaker.
yeah.
Yeah, he's holding the gavel, yeah. Okay, what are you gonna speak on, Mr. So-and-so? You've got 3 minutes, you've got 5 minutes. Ring the buzzer when the time's up.
All right. Let's work on that language just a little bit, and then
Yeah.
we'll bring it back.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
Is there a motion to
I'll
table?
make a motion that we table this.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say, do we need a roll or just all in favor?
All in favor.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is tabled pending further review. All right. Next item before us, 2024-BZA-0B, corner of Howard Street and South Mackenzie Street, variances for new daycare center. Is anyone recusing themselves on this case? Just making sure.
Not that are present.
All right, good. Okay, just making sure. I knew we had some. Is there a proponent of the proposed variance request before us? And they please come up, please speak. All right, please be sworn in. There's a card there. Read the.
Yes. Hi, my name is Christine Moretz. My address is 1588 New Gambia Road. I affirm that my testimony is truthful to the best of my knowledge and ability. So help me God, or under penalty of perjury.
All right, what are we trying to achieve today?
The Salvation Army of our community by building a child care center to meet the needs of child care. We with us, and so we need some trying to figure out how to put it on the property that we own, right?
So it looks
know
like
what
you're
else.
you're looking for a couple of variances. The main is setback on the building, and then number of parking spaces as well as size of parking spaces.
Correct.
So one thing I mentioned, and it is brought up in the case report, is I've been more inclined to reduce the number of spaces versus reducing the size of spaces. That has been historically our pattern, so I'll just kind of throw that out there.
Okay.
And I'll let her, you'll need to be sworn in.
Yep.
Good evening. My name is Julie Ziga. My address is 2003 Carlton Road, Kent. I affirm that my testimony is truthful to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God, or under penalty or perjury. So, in the materials you received, kind of talk about what we're looking for here. So the daycare is at the proposed daycare is at the southeast corner at Howard and South Mackenzie. So the other buildings in this block are also owned by the South. I think that is worth mentioning. The new daycare is proposed to have 9 classrooms and a gym space centered around a playground area. So each classroom is a house-shaped form to break up the larger mass. And also part of this work proposed are 2 new parking lots and the renovation of 1 existing parking lot. So our 3 requests are: 1, the building setback variance. We have a 12,240 square foot proposed building at that south corner, as I mentioned. If we reduce the building to meet the setbacks, we would have to reduce the 50 square feet. So we're asking for a variance on those setbacks so that we can build this building to the size that it needs to be to meet the need of the community. And on that note, I'll mention that we are not, we are kind of following what else is done on the block as far as setbacks. The existing Salvation Army building to the north has about 7 setback, and the existing apartment building to the west, owned by the Army, is just right on the property line. In addition to help with this request, we are also proposing new sidewalks along South Mackenzie and Howard Street to make this block more walkable. There are currently no sidewalks there, where there's one along East Ohio Avenue North. So we're looking to add more sidewalks to this block. The second request is the parking setback. The new parking lot at the northeast corner is not currently meeting setbacks, and the reason we are looking to position it there is that we have a 14-foot change from the north to the south of the property. So pushing that parking lot to the north kind of handle that grade change elsewhere in the site. And then we're able to use that over 5,000 square foot grass area for for landscaping, and we will be incorporating into that a sloped lawn seating area that will be used by the daycare. Third request is the parking stall sizes. We are currently showing the 9-foot by 19-foot spaces. By showing this reduced size, we are able to gain 8 additional spaces, which is 44 total on the site versus 36. And I know since that comment was mentioned that we are maybe not likely to have the reduced parking stall approved. We did provide a plan that shows the, on the next page, the compliant parking sizes and shows that layout of the parking. Also included in the packet, plan of the new daycare building, showing those 9 classrooms with that gym and then the supportive spaces, including rooms, a small commercial kitchen, mechanical storage, sensory room, workroom, and a staff room. Centered on that playground, as I mentioned.
What is that next page?
That is the existing floor
Okay.
plan of the Salvation. The next few pages are just a few perspectives the building will look like. So the first one is a view of the main entry from the west side of that west parking lot looking east towards the building entry. We're looking to have it, it's all 1-story building, looking to have it low and not too tall. So the tallest part of the building that you can see on the right of this page is that gym space, and that is at its peak about 32 feet tall. The other buildings are in the 20s range for height. So the next view you can see from the southeast corner, different house shapes that I was talking about. So each of those forms is a different classroom. And then the view is a view from the northeast looking into from the north side. So with the grade change, the building is proposed to be somewhat buried on that northeast corner to allow us to deal with the grade.
How many spots do you realistically need? I mean, how many employees are going to be in the building? I mean, I don't want to reduce the size, and there's 40 people working in the building. I don't want to do that, but I'm inclined to want bigger spaces. So, what is the anticipated?
Roughly at least 20
Okay.
employees. You're going to have at least 2 in each classroom, plus the director, plus whatever the social worker, plus the Salvation Army officers. So I would say between 20 and 25.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, so the north side, on the north side, we're on Ohio Avenue.
Yes.
Is that all available? That's all parking, isn't it now, or is there going to be a curb cut?
Right now it's just grass. That's where the old Salvation Army building stood.
No, I'm just
before
talking about on the
demolished.
street. On the street,
Oh, on the
that's
street,
that's
yeah.
all street parking there
Right.
now.
We still have
Yep.
street parking on Ohio. Yes.
Yep. And is there street parking on one side?
No,
No.
not really.
Okay. Not on Howard. Okay. So you only have the only street parking available is on Ohio around the block. Okay. All right.
Can I just ask for my own? So, in this design, there are 2 buildings sort of south of the main building.
Correct.
You're leaving one of them and taking one of them down?
There's the apartment building which we are leaving, and then there is a concrete pad next to
okay.
it that looks like a building on this aerial that we will be removing to redo
Okay.
the parking lot.
Yeah.
Right.
So that it was storage units.
Yeah.
And they are already gone.
Okay.
So now it's just a
The concrete.
concrete foundation there. Building.
And that's been converted to apartments?
No, we are repurposing that for
That building.
Salvation Army use storage, laundry facility.
Which building, where are we here?
That's the Taylor
Like the
rental.
backward L shape.
Yes, the bottom left there. So yes, we will retain 1 apartment for Salvation Army personnel only, not for public use.
on the, Ms. Blankenhorn, on the parking requirements, does that encompass the existing buildings as well? That, so the parking requirements for just this building would be how many spots?
I think it said
18 since we have
18 for
9
this building.
classrooms, yes.
Okay. And then what would the, if we were not to create, what is the total number required for the site per code? Based on the 3 buildings, do we have any idea what
I
that
did
is?
not do any calculations on the
Okay.
existing building because I don't know what's in it. 'Cause to be
I
able
just-
to calculate.
I'm just trying to figure out, so that if we're making a variance, we're making a variance based on the whole site plan, not just one building. Because one building at 36 we're okay, but then we've got the other 2 buildings.
Right.
So,
So based on, I guess it depends how you calculate the existing building, because it does have the chapel space, so that I believe is 1 per pew. So I think if we're looking at the chapel use, we would not have enough spaces based on that.
When was the building built?
The current building that we're
Yeah.
in, 1992. 94, I'm sorry, 1994.
because shouldn't the variance encompass all the buildings that are, right?
I'm trying to figure out whether or not we had a discussion this afternoon about when the city's first zoning code. You remember when that was, Mr. Smith?
No, I really don't.
89, wasn't it?
I looked at it from the perspective of the existing building is there, it's in use, it's functioning with ready. What they're proposing is for a new building and they're providing the parking for the new building. Plus upgrading what existing parking there is on the site.
We wouldn't, I mean, if that were the case, we wouldn't need a variance. Because they're,
Not for parking, correct?
No, not for count, but they want,
for size, and we don't
Yeah.
have to do anything on the parking. The only thing we approve is
Setbacks of
just
the parking
setbacks.
lot.
yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So the only thing we really need to be concerned with is the setbacks, because we're not looking. Okay.
But since they've asked for a variance, you at least need to,
For just the size?
yes.
Okay. All right.
Because even if you don't reduce the size, they still meet, they're providing enough parking spaces between the 2 new lots that they're planning.
They could amend their application to just ask for the setback and remove the parking.
Or you could deny it either.
Because it's already been submitted.
One-
So I'll either go ahead and rule, and I would suggest that we rule on the setbacks separate from the parking
Yeah.
size.
Okay.
If you want to pursue the parking size, we can continue as a separate item rather than rule on one thing or the other. So it's, or you can withdraw that portion of the application. I'll leave that up to you guys.
Withdraw it.
We'd like to withdraw the parking requirement.
Okay, all right. With that, we're only looking at the setbacks there, withdrawing that from the application. All right, is there any additional proponents of the proposed variance request for setbacks before us? Are there any opponents of the proposed variance request before us? Is there any written or verbal communication regarding the proposed variance request?
I have the staff report.
All right,
February 20th, 2024 for case 2024-3, Howard Street and South Mackenzie Street parcels 66-50438.000 and 66-50440.000, and there are about 10 others that I didn't list. Encompass the entire block. A request for variances to allow for the construction of a child daycare facility has been submitted for multiple parcels at the corner of Howard Street and South Mackenzie Street by Julie Ziga of Sol Harris Day Architecture for the Salvation Army of Mount Vernon. The county will assign an address at a later date based on the location of the proposed building. The zoning for the properties owned by the Salvation Army is a combination of GB General Business District on the south side of the block and OI Office Institutional on the north side of the block. The majority of the proposed structure will be on the GB zoned parcels, portion of the end of the building extending into the OI zoned parcel. While GB development standards require a 30 feet front setback and a 15 feet side setback, existing structures to the immediate east and west of the proposed site extend the property line. Some of these same structures are situated on or over their side property line. The proposal for the new daycare facility is to situate the structure 6 inches to 3 feet 2 inches from the front property line to 3 feet 8 inches on the side property line along Mackenzie Street. The building facade is multifaceted instead of a single one-dimensional wall. A new sidewalk is planned 1 foot from the property line, creating an urban-like setting. Improved parking areas for the Salvation Army campus are planned with a variety of variances being requested. One existing lot will be revamped while new parking areas will be added. The request seeks reduced parking stall widths of 9 feet campus-wide. In recent history, the BZA has been more lenient with reducing the number of parking stalls instead of reducing the width of the stall, maintaining the necessity for 10 feet by 19 feet spaces to accommodate full-size automobiles and provide clearance to ease entering and exiting the vehicle. The existing lot accessed from East Street seeks side setback variances from the OI required setback for 3 feet 11 inches on the south edge and 1 inch on the north edge. The existing parking area extends over the property line to the sidewalk. A new lot proposed in the northeast corner of the property seeks setback variances of 4 feet 9 inches from the front along Ohio Avenue and 3 feet 11 inches to 4 feet 8 inches from the side along South Mackenzie Street. This lot is located on an OI zoned parcel, which requires a 10-foot front setback and a 7 feet side setback for pavement. The front setback is in line with the existing Salvation Army building, and the side setback is designed to be in line with the proposed structure. Ms. Ziga consulted with the city's development services manager on a number of issues related to the design of these campus-wide proposed improvements. The design was altered to meet entrance and drive aisle width requirements and show the parking count based on code-compliant parking stall widths.
All right, with any other communication?
Nothing.
All right, so we are only looking at the setbacks, so I would entertain a motion regarding the proposed variance request.
I'll make a motion that we approve the variance before us as it pertains to setbacks only.
All right, and we have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion amongst the board?
And this is for parking and the building, correct?
Correct. All right, with that, Ms. Blankenhorn, would you call the roll?
Ms. Cunningham.
Yes.
Mr. Percy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Arianata.
Yes.
Mr. Eister.
Yes.
With that, case 2024-BZA-03 is approved for the setbacks as requested, and the parking requirements have been removed from the request. All right, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right, with next case before us, 2024-BZA-04-119 Brown Street, variance for front setback. Is there a proponent of the variance request before us? Please be sworn in. Read the card there to be sworn in.
Okay, my name is Henry Mejia. My address is 12320 Montgomery Road, and I'm afraid that testimony is truthful to the best of my knowledge and ability to help my God or under penalty and.
All right, what are we trying to achieve here?
the lady living in there, wanna do the porch. The porch is 8 by 5, but it's in the side to the front of the house, and it have a little bit awning there, and the awning is barely about 4 feet, and it 1 feet out, and what she tried to do and is extend 1 more feet out, and I telling her we need to move the porch to the front, and
So there's no porch there now, or where's the porch? Is it on the side? Is that what we're?
No, it's there.
It's there, we're just taking it up and making it a foot bigger? Is that what we're?
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a variance on it before? No.
Not that I
No. Okay. So we're just making it so it's extending into the setback 1 foot more than it currently is? Is that, as
He needs a 9-foot setback.
a 9-foot setback and the code is 10, is that?
Technically 30.
Okay. But he's just asking, over what's existing, it's only a 1 foot additional over what's existing. Okay.
So he's wanting to remove that slanted roof
Uh-huh.
and the porch area and replace that
Okay.
with something that's a little bit larger where you could set a chair on it.
Yeah, because you can't even set a person on that.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions, Ms. Mejia? Are there proponents of the proposed variance request before us? Are there any opponents of the proposed variance request before us? Is there any written or verbal communication regarding the proposed variance request before us?
I have the staff report.
All right.
February 20th, 2024, case 2024 BZA 04 for 119 Brown Street, parcel number 66-05453.000. A request for a variance for a reduced front setback of 9 feet has been requested for Don Phillips, owner, and Teresa Shaw, tenant, by Henry Mejia of INRI Home Improvement. The proposed plan is to remove the existing 16 square feet partially covered porch and replace it with a 6 feet by 8 feet, 48 square foot porch deck with a 7 feet by 10 feet, 70 square foot porch roof. The extent of the proposed roof will be 9 feet from the front property line. The property is zoned R1, which requires a 30 feet front setback. The front setback of the house does not meet current code requirements. The neighboring commercial structure sets closer to its side property line along Brown Street at approximately 6 to 6.5 feet. And I circled that in green in the aerial image.
So yeah, so it's sitting actually closer than this, and the
Yes.
house doesn't meet the 30-foot setback, so we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
what's-
All right. Any other communication?
No, sorry.
All right. All right. I would entertain a motion regarding the proposed variance request.
I'll move that we approve the variance as presented.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Smith is the second. Any additional discussion among the board? Ms. Blankenhorn, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Cunningham.
Yes.
Mr. Percy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Arianata.
Yes.
Mr. Eister.
Yes.
With that, case 2024-BZA-04 is approved as submitted. Any other business before us?
I don't have anything.
All right, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, second.
Second.
Sarah Yanata, thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you.
It's just 3 minutes away.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Percy, for running another efficient meeting.
Thank you for getting us out of here within 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's my goal.